Good morning, PT on Ice. Today is Monday, the 5th of March. Welcome. I'm going to get cooking right away. I got a short, sweet, and to-the-point message this morning for anybody who's willing to jump on. I have been up early since early this morning, heading down south. I got a couple meetings today, so going to really get this going. So 10 minutes or less today. Really, really important point and message, I think. But I guess you'll be the judge. So there we go. Okay, so an economic bubble is when, essentially, my definition, if you sort of look it up, is when the price of something is trading way higher than its intrinsic value, right? So we talk about price bubbles, we talk about, economic bubbles. If you talk to economists, there are basically two bubbles left. There is education, higher education, and there is healthcare. Those are the two remaining economic bubbles. And the question that I'm posing in today is will you be ready when either or both of those bubbles pop? Because everything points to the fact that they're about to, right? I mean, everything begins to point to this. And I think the latest information, sort of like 2 or 3 is now starting to create a trend, right? So we talked a little bit a couple weeks back about JP Morgan and Amazon, sort of forming this with Berkshire Hathaway, forming this healthcare company. And it was, sort of the news, the big news. But then, a couple weeks later, maybe a week ago, I see on the APHPT workplace feed somebody posting about Apple doing the exact same thing. Now, if you think about anything about the law of diffusion of innovation, right? Like the innovators come first. They can afford to be different. They can afford to do things differently. And then before you know it, the early adopters show up. And so the question that I have for everyone to think about is how long before the early adopters really show up? How long before groups who don't necessarily have the financial wherewithal that an Apple, the billions of dollars of cash on hand, or Amazon has, how long before they kind of get in the mix and say, you know what? Forget this nonsense, this middleman crap, with people in the middle taking a bunch of money, driving up costs, giving me an unfair price. It's just not valuable enough to do it this way. How long before they just decide to build their own healthcare firms? Now, understand that doesn't mean that they're not going to be interested in having healthcare for their people. It's just that they need to do it in a fundamentally different way. They're realizing that quickly. And when you see big cash hoarding businesses like Amazon, like Berkshire Hathaway, like Apple, beginning to move in this direction, you have to ask yourself, how long before this trickles down to maybe other businesses? Oh, my phone is about to drop. I'm in the mobile studio again today. So the reason why I pose that question and kind of throw that detail out there is because I think we have to ask ourselves, will we be ready when that happens? And unfortunately, I would say on the whole, probably not. And that is not, a wonderful thing to say, and I don't love saying it. We had our Unit 4 review discussion last night with our latest cohort in the APHPT CERT course, and it's going well, and you can kind of hear people connecting the dots and starting to understand that as a group, we have to change the way we speak, we have to change the language that we're using, we have to talk about different things, that our tools, although wonderful, exercise principle among them, although wonderful, will not do the job alone if we don't change the context of our message, get them to different places, and begin to push the conversation forward everywhere we go, right? Like, I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility for an applied prevention and health promotion therapist, so a CERT APHPT or the like. And I say that because I don't want to limit it to PTs. We have an OT who's doing great in the course this time, and I suspect we'll have more OTs and maybe other professionals in sort of the same boat who are all trying to row forward. But it would not be out of the question to begin to say every company in America should have on staff, whether it be within their medical department or whether it be on the floor, someone with the knowledge of how to keep people out of the healthcare system, because the bet is just too good, right? It's just too valuable to have someone not enter the healthcare system when you think about the dollars and cents of this. So let me give you some examples, right? It's not uncommon to hear larger businesses say that it would cost about $40,000 per injury on the job per person, right? I mean, let that sink in a little bit. How much contact do you need to prevent one person from needing the healthcare system? What I would tell you is not nearly as much as you think. We see it every single day. If you know anything about the weather, you've been paying attention at all of this, New Jersey and New York and the kind of surrounding areas, we got absolutely rocked with this storm. I mean, thousands of people out of power. And I can tell you that some of our clients had called us up and said, listen, we need you on site right now because our folks have to respond to this. And their bodies are going to be screaming at them. Their bodies are going to be breaking down, and we cannot afford to have them out of this. We need every single tool we have in the fight. How long before every single company in America realizes that they also need the exact same thing, that they cannot afford people to simply not show up every day to work? And so the reason why I pose that is because if you really look at it, couple of really big things are happening. One, education is getting over costly. It's getting to the point where people cannot afford to do it anymore and they're dropping out, and healthcare is doing the exact same thing. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the next 20 years of the workplace? What kind of workers are people going to get? Maybe the skilled credential degree isn't nearly as important because jobs need to be filled in other places, but we're still going to have people who are relying on their ability to grind day in and day out. And so the question I have is, will we be ready? I don't know that we will. Some of us will. I should clarify that. Some of us will. I'd say about 65 or 70 so far. The conversation that I'm about to have today, I suspect will increase the need for that number. May not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but just based on who I'm going to talk to and where the conversation will go, I think by the end of today, the need for people who can function in a conservative environment to keep healthy people healthy, keep at-risk people from becoming diseased, and keep the early signs of disease out of the healthcare system will be in massive need. People who can do that effectively. Now, what I will tell you is, what's been very, very clear is that the traditional system cannot do that effectively. There's no new research. There's no new amazing thing that we've learned. It's just reinforcement of the same stuff. The stuff that we always have known, the stuff that we continue to know, the stuff that continues to come up. That the basic fundamental principles, if done correctly, can keep the human system working well on the long term. Like, there's nothing new about that. Okay, what's new is the people who are going to be able to help others actually do it. The applied folks. The theoretical, no, I don't think so. It's not the theoretical, okay? It's the idea of the applied folks, the folks who can roll up their sleeves, get on the ground, and literally deal with people, the ones who have the skills to go where people are and deal with them and help them take barriers out of their way, help them live a healthier version of themselves without having to think about it all the time, help them continue to crank forward. That's where it's going. There's not a question in my mind. Conversation after conversation, bigger and bigger groups, it is very, very clear. People are done. They're sick of dealing with it the way it is. They're just kind of cooked and fried. And I don't mean just the absolute people on the ground. I mean the business owners and the people who can make things happen. I can't tell you how long I think it's going to be. I don't know. I wish I could say, 6 months. I wish I could say a year. No one knows. But there is no question, all the signs are there. Tectonic plates of economies are shifting. And that started, I think, in a big way with Amazon, Berkshire, and JP saying, hey, we will have to do this differently. Our business must do it differently if we're going to survive. And Apple following suit last week. It won't be long. It won't be long. The question I have for you is, will you be ready? All right, that's about it. That's all I really want to do today. I just want to get that thought in your head. And the reason why I want to get that thought in your head, because if you can get there, you still might have enough time to be ready. If we don't get there, if you don't get there mentally in the next 6 months, year, maybe 2, I think we're going to be left behind. It's already starting. If you dive into it a little bit deeper and you look at who people are looking to hire, they're not looking to hire traditional medical folks. They're looking to hire people who can keep people out of the healthcare system. Get that through all the way in. Get it all the way in and think about it. Are you skilled at that? Is the question you have to ask yourself. Are you skilled at that? Just by holding a license or degree does not mean you are skilled at that. The people who are developing their skills, who are rapidly trying to put those skills in place, will be the ones who win the next chapter. It's just unquestionable. The real question is, are you one of those people? Are you developing those skills? And if you're not, I would strongly suggest that you start to do it. You know, I know sometimes, like we laugh a little bit because, sometimes I've got the message of the sky is falling. No, it's not. The sky is not falling. The best opportunity in the history of healthcare for people who are conservative in care by nature, people who are not surgeons, people who are not pushing pills, people who are not trying to do major procedures. Everyone else, the ones who wield exercise, the ones who wield health-facing approaches, that is going to be a major shift forward because the economics of it has gotten us there. People are being forced to make this change. All right, 13 seconds left to go. I guess I'll just wrap it up here. I want to do it in 10 minutes or less today. Happy that I did. It is Monday. It is a hugely exciting Monday because things are going to pop, okay? Hopefully, it's the growth of this approach and not the economic bubble before we're ready. Will you be ready when it pops? It's only Monday. Make it count.